Austin technique. What do we actually think we're doing? And I really want you to walk away with this slide just ingrained in your brain, because what I do not think we're doing, I do not think we are breaking any scar tissue, okay? Instead, I think that what we are doing are increasing the presence of the fibroblast. We're doing mechanotransduction, which Jackie talked about last week, and I absolutely love. We're talking about cellular reorganization, and that's really what we want when these scars are remodeling. We want to encourage movement to maintain that interfiber lubrication, and we want to restore the gliding between the various layers. So let's talk about some of these things. First off, the fibroblast. This is Gelson's study, and he did it in the late 90s, where in control box A, we're seeing the fibroblast, and he used just a bit of collagenase to see the fibroblastic response that he would get. He then asked the question, what if I used light pressure? What if I used medium pressure? What if I used heavy pressure? What would be the fibroblastic response? And we can see that indeed he has an increase in fibroblast with light pressure as well as medium and heavy pressure. In the case of working with scars, we're going to use very light pressure. And I think that that will still increase the fibroblast in the area. Again, with scar mobilization, we're going to use light pressure. Good. So if you were with us last week, you saw this slide last week. Mechanotransduction. I love this concept. So just say that I can appreciate the Behrens-Sorensen test. I'm not sure how many of us could do this test with some of our current patient population. So let's look at a couple of other tests. This is the waiter's bow test. And the question is, hey, patient, could you bend forward for me like a waiter? Okay. The correct movement pattern that we're looking for is forward bending of the hips without movement of the low back. So the authors suggest approximately 50 to 70 degrees of hip flexion. So the question here that I'm looking for is, does the patient naturally bend from the hips or do they naturally bend from the lumbar spine? When we do the waiter's bow test, we would not want to coach the patient, but this would instead flag us to patients that we would need to pattern the hip hinge in. Here is our seated knee extension test. So the patient's just going to be resting on the table. Hey, patient, can you extend your knee or can you straighten your knee for me? And what we're going to do is just watch what happens, specifically in the lumbar region. So the correct motion would be, we want our patients to be upright sitting with a neutral lumbar lordosis. Okay, we want them to be able to extend the knee without movement of the lumbar spine into